Live from the last Green Coliseum. Welcome, race fans, one and all, back to Green Flag TV. This afternoon, it's round number 11 from Bristol, Tennessee, at one of the most treacherous and fastest short tracks that you can find in all of North America. Good afternoon. Welcome to Green Flag TV. My name is R11 alongside Derek Watson. We're bringing you all of racing action from start to finish from Bristol Motor Speedway. Derek, they call this place the last Great Coliseum for a reason. Holy cow, what an amazing race we are in store for this afternoon. Every time we enter this venue, you just get that rush going through you. It's going to be no different when that green flag drops tonight.
Oh yeah, Nolan, lots of beating, lots of banging, lots of moving each other around. And that classic song this time of year says the weather outside is frightful. Well, the temperatures on track and the temperatures in the driver's helmets will be anything but as we go here racing around this half-mile track, Nolan. 200 laps is on the docket.
200 laps on the docket, just as it was in seasons 1 and 2, and with thrillers in both seasons 1 and 2 and Gen 7 and Gen 4 machinery. We're expecting nothing short of a barn burner here this afternoon. Championship-wise, it's still tight at the top, with Dalton Kilroy hanging on from Brian Dees by a mere 8 points, and they are about 20 to 30 ahead of Michael Thorpe Jr. Of course, all eyes, though, as we march our way further towards that cut line. They drift down towards 12th place, where Jonathan Canfield only has about a 7-point gap ahead of one Nick Osipek. So it is still tight as well for those cutoff spots as well.
Oh yeah, up and down the field, Nolan. After our last race, lots of people moved up and down the points. So Brian Dees up a spot, and now only 8 points back. You got Sean Williams up a spot. You get David Lakey losing 2 spots. So there's still plenty of points available here with these last few races before the playoffs begin.
Plenty of points on offer, and of course still a good distance as well to go in championship action before we will get down to those playoff rounds as well. Of course, this is the first of 3 races we have throughout December. We will then be rolling out to Michigan and Iowa. Then it's an extended 2-week vacation for Christmas and New Year's, and we'll return on January 6th with Kentucky and the Kansas Speedways, the last 2 races before we'll reset things with a round of 12 over in Fontana, with Auto Club Speedway playing host to a playoff round for the first time in this league's history. Michigan, though, splitting 2 short tracks. That's not something you see all that often, right? 2 short tracks with a draft track right in the middle of them.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how everyone kind of behaves and how easy it is to kind of reacclimate yourself to different styles of racing back to back. And by the way, of note also about this schedule that I found interesting today, Nolan, Bristol night is the first race here. The next 5 races, 3 of them will be night races.
Well, there you go. So it looks like the nighttime is indeed the right time, and there is still a lot to be settled out when we go for racing tonight as well. Night races, there's just something about them that brings about the animal in the driver.
Oh yeah, the lights turn on, the lights reflect off these paint schemes, and just something about it makes you a little bit more aggressive. And I think it's maybe because the event feels a bit more special, right? You want to win this. It's the night race of Bristol. We've all watched it on TV. We've all seen it 100 times. We know what to expect. And so winning here feels like a special moment.
It sure does, and there's still, well, that's going to be the big question, right? Who takes the win? Because as we saw last season at Bristol in the Gen 4 cars, it's never over until you get off of turn 4 on that final lap. Well, we'll take ourselves with a quick step down here, and we will tune things in to the United States of America National Anthem. Time to take a rundown of that starting grid with 29 cars lining up and ready to rumble as engines fire on the starting grid at Bristol Motor Speedway. Brian Zimmerman on the pole, one of his first pole positions, I believe his first pole position in his high-tide racing league career for the USA Firearms and number 22 Camaro, alongside Justin Levine making his high-tide racing league debut this afternoon for Frontline Esports. Scott Shire, the Michigan native, back in the number 3 spot alongside MFRD Racing's Dalton Kilroe. Tanner Marr for 5 Kings Motorsports is back in 5th alongside Corey Sherman in 6th. Eddie Haggett for BC Simsport is in 7th alongside Ty Marasco. With pit lizard performances, Larry Bell alongside Florida driver Matthew Chastain.
Moving back in the P11's David Lakey lined up next to Ethan Sikorsky for 11th and 12th. Then you got Hayden Wheeler and Connor Gibson back in row 7, 13 and 14. Michael Thorpe Jr. pretty far back in P15. Nolan, he's lined up next to Jason Greenwell. Then Jonathan Canfield and Benjamin Lacey, 17 and 18. And Hunter Karsten and Brian Dees back in row 10.
Moving on down the field from there, 21st place, it is defending champion Dustin Ping alongside Justin Burnham, having made his debut just a couple weeks ago for Guardian. Kevin Foster from Texas back in 23rd, the last car to put down a qualifying lap. From there you got Terrell Baker, John Osborne, Austin Edstrom, Nick Osipek, Michael Ashmore, and Bob Berry closing out the field. So that's it then. You got 29 cars that are all lining up and ready to rumble. And they are taking off down the backstretch towards turn numbers 3 and 4 now. One lap to go before we go to green flag racing. New names on the field, lots of returning faces as well. Who do you think might come out on top this afternoon?
Oh gosh, I mean, I know Justin Levine's up front, so this is an easy pick. I love and respect the talent Justin has in the field. And Dalton Kilroe has proved time and time again that he can win. The names I'm concerned about, honestly, are Thorpe and Dees. Pretty far back in the field at Bristol. That's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, mid-pack, not a place you want to be this afternoon. It's easy to get caught up in trouble back there down in the midfield, but who knows? I mean, this is one of those races could very well go either way. We have not had more than 5 cautions in a race at Bristol before, but there's always room for firsts, especially with the high-tide racing league. Brian Zimmerman will lead the field off of turn numbers 3 and 4. Time to get the party started. It's go, go, go from the last great Coliseum. Pretty big field spreads early on. Brian Zimmerman jumping to the lead early on in this one. And lap 1 of 200 is already in the books.
Yeah, these are going to go by fast, Nolan. Less than 15 seconds a lap is what we're facing here, so these laps will tick off fast. But right now, our pole sitter is doing a great job. Already got almost half a second, maybe a quarter of a second on Justin Levine. And look at him sliding up here. One of the reports you and I heard all night, Nolan, is how slick this track is. And you can see it little by little already.
Yeah, loose early on, tight later in the run, but that doesn't necessarily mean that loose is going to go away. Whoa, trouble, look out, one car going around. That's Tanner Marr, sideways, middle of the field. That's going to stack everyone up, and they're still wrecking as they come down onto the back straightaway. Marasco's involved, the 31 of Gibson is in there. I think that's Brian Dees turned around, and it's a parking lot on the backstretch.
Yeah, I saw John Osborne stopped in there and many others. So, hey, listen, all things considered, obviously, you don't want to have the wreck, Nolan, but that could have been way worse. A car parked almost sideways through the corner. The wreck afterwards is from people trying to check up pretty hard, but overall, looking pretty clean here. Let's watch it again on the replay machine once we find it here, and we'll see that wreck happen. But, boy, that was a scary moment.
Yeah, no kidding. That could have been a disastrous incident right at the head of the field, and, well, that comes down to Tanner Marr just losing control all by his lonesome. They're going to be able to see everybody kind of stack in up front here. There's Ty Marasco cutting to the outside. He got hit from Larry Bell, it looks like. Slid down the racetrack. You can kind of see everything devolve in front. Greenwell got spun around, and there is Dees just getting nicked at the end of it.
Yeah, Marasco tried to slide up top to avoid the wreck, and that purple car was just not aware that was going to happen. But we talked about this being a slick racetrack. Well, here you go. The 23 car liked it's on the throttle a little too much, a little too soon. And that car went on around. But man, I mean, all things considered, I said it once, I'll say it again, Nolan, that could have been way worse.
Coulda and woulda, probably should have been way worse, right? I mean, a lot of that just comes down to some smart driver, everybody in the field. Hayden Wheeler, another driver making his debut this afternoon, did a great job to get stopped for this incident.
Yeah, we're going to ride on board here and watch this wreck happen. Down the straightaway we go. And now right up in front of him should be the wreck any second now. And there it is. Whoa, oh boy, got it checked up. Just barely missed that spinning car. Yeah, little contact, but that's unavoidable. I mean, I don't know how you avoid that at this small racetrack. So here we are under caution, lap 7. Hey, the good news is, no, even the caution laps go fast here. So we won't be under caution nearly as long per lap as we were a couple weeks ago at Pocono. But the bad news is if you need to get a car fixed, the caution laps are fast.
Tanamar, you see him having to stay out, could not come down to go for a tire change if he wanted to stay on the lead lap. But that's the big question, right? Would you want to come down for a tire change this early on? It's not like a lot of other racetracks where you have to really try to balance that tire life too much. I mean, you take into consideration everything that's been going on is we actually will in fact see Tanamar being forced to the back of the field. Might have been given the EOL for causing the yellow number 1 on the night. But it's one of those big questions, right? Do you want to take those tires this early on? You don't have to balance it when your fuel stint lasts over half the race.
No, I wouldn't take tires right now, per se. But what I would say, though, is I would not be afraid to go a lap down right now. Listen, we all know that for better or for worse, Bristol is known to have a few yellow flags here and there. And so there'll be a few lucky dog wave-arounds handed out tonight, right? So I wouldn't be scared if I were a lap down right now. You know, we got 190-some laps to go. I think you can make that back.
Confirmation, by the way, Tanamar was sent to the tail of the field for causing yellow flag number 1. He will be the lone car that is 1 lap down. Got all 3 manufacturers in the top 10 right now, but it's really a Chevy fest out on the racetrack as it stands. Not a lot of drivers feeling confidence in Ford, it seems, this afternoon, as most of those cars are at the tail end of the field. So it'll be a Chevy 1-2 as we take back to the start-finish line.
See a very, very strong jump by our leader, Brian Zimmerman. Then you got that side-by-side battle of Levine and Schuer next to him, and that's the battle to look at right now. And right now already, like, Levine's trying to make the pass on the outside, and that's not always the easiest thing to do here at Bristol, Nolan. Typically, the inside lane is the dominant lane.
Almost always is. Bristol, one of those racetracks that might always want to take a break from that norm. We saw all throughout the Season 2 race here in Gen 4 cars just how powerful that outside lane can be as well. Never want to catch yourself sleeping, though, on any line on the racetrack. And in fact, take a look here is looking like Justin Levine already trying to put the pressure big time on Brian Zimmerman.
Yeah, Levine's been around iRacing a long time, has been involved in Road to Pro and many other events throughout time. So much talent behind it, the wheel there for that number 42 machine. Very bright, colorful 42 machine at that. So he's going to come on here and try to challenge Zimmerman and see if he can make this pass. But I like how he's being patient. He's almost maybe forcing Zimmerman to make the mistake. You see, he's barely there. But his presence and that intimidation is so present. The Zimmerman is all the way up the racetrack here at Bristol.
Yeah, he is up and on Brian Zimmerman and really try to get them moving a little bit up and out of the way. Zimmerman, though, going to clear down and looking like no dice still for Justin Levine, but try as that Energizer Bunny might. I don't think Levine's going to be able to do much here until Brian Zimmerman starts to get some tire fall or starts to make some mistakes. Whoa, look out! Corey Sherman with the big save off of 2.
Man, Sherman almost was pointed directly head first into those water barrels. Was able to grab a hold of it, get it back on track, so he'll lose a few spots. Wow, but he'll gain some confidence in knowing he can do that. Can the 19 car almost slides up to the 81? So Sherman is having a hard time.
On board with Austin Edstrom here as he's trying to go for the over-under on Corey Sherman, and well, as they say that car has a bit of a flash, as it's been a bit known to do over the last little while. So Edstrom still struggling with some of those issues right now. David Lakey trying to stay out ahead of Dustin Ping. So far, there's only 3 cars that have really not made moves from the start of this race. One of those has been Hunter Karsten way back here in the 19th position. The other 2 have been your 2 front runners.
Yeah, everyone else up and down the board, I just took a peek over at timing and scoring. Everyone else is either up or down at least a spot from where they began. Tyrell Baker up 10. Austin Edstrom up 15. By the way, you talked about Austin a second ago in that yellow and pink machine. So lots going on. Here's Michael Thorpe, came into the last week P2 in points, lost a spot. Still down in P3, but not far off. And so we'll see if he can have a good night here. Man, when these cars snap out of these corners, I get nervous every time. I've been in these cars before. I know how that snap feels, and I know it's scary from inside the vehicle.
Gosh, tell me about it, right? I mean, at a place like this, if the car snaps, there's not a lot you can do, especially when you're in a big battle pack like this. David Lakey, Ping, Sherman, the 25 is in the mix of this as well. Terrell Baker, Connor Gibson, Brian Dees, they are all under a blanket and all holding each other up. About 5 seconds behind your race leader as they work their way back to 1 and 2.
Yeah, man, look at this nice little pack right here. A gaggle of cars, if you will. And we hope everyone can keep it clean and safe, because if one person messes up here, this accordion will just ruffle up and catch everyone at the same time. Right on board with the Bass Pro Shops machine. So number 25 is inside. That is a beautiful, bright Nerds Gummy Clusters paint scheme. I love that. I'm a fan of bright paint schemes.
You know, I am too. If you get stopped on the racetrack, it's a nice bright beacon to let people know behind you, hey, I'm here. But again, at this place, it probably isn't going to matter all that much with the speeds that you can carry off of these corners. But still, it doesn't put any hesitation into these drivers. Eddie Hagge trying to drive his way through this field. He is now up to the 9th spot. Hagge, of course, took the little win last time we were out at Bristol, but he did so by getting on Tony Hilbrand's bad side. Hilbrand's, though, not here this afternoon, so it doesn't look like we'll get another chapter in that saga.
Yeah, would not be the first or the last person probably to have upset or ruffled some feathers at Bristol. That's one of those classic Daytona moments of the car up in the wall there, Nolan. That was dangerous, and we saw that from, what was that, the 19? Yeah, it was the 19. That's what I thought it was. That's Corey Sherman. He's had an exciting night for all the wrong reasons.
It hasn't been Corey Sherman's night. He kind of got unsettled early in the run, and he's just been dropping back ever since. Priority Auto 19 Supra, though, trying to find its footing. There's just not a lot of stability in that car right now. Still trying to be on the defensive here with Bob Berry. And now we're going to bring ourselves out with another yellow flag. Big crash up in turn 3.
This is Marasco involved again, second time tonight. First one not his fault. We'll wait and see when the green flag TV replay machine loads up if he is at fault this time. But look at that. That's a great example of this racetrack, Nolan. There's your wrecked car, and there's your leaders. This track is fast and short. There's no space to give anywhere. So we saw just how close they were. Let's watch the replay here. Watch Marasco, the one, that blue, red, and orange machine on the bottom. And, oh no, he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit by that white and red machine. That is the number 74. That's Justin Burnham.
And then just clipped one Kevin Foster, and then a big hit to Greenwell as well.
That Larry Bell up top there, I believe. And then, oh, look at that. For the second time tonight, John Osborne barely kind of just finds his way through it, slow and steady. Now watch this in real time. This is how fast things happen. I mean, it's just a weird moment where Ty needs to come up a little bit. The 74 starts to come down a little bit. Neither one made an egregious move. They just sort of met in the middle.
Benjamin Lacey doing a good job to get around this from the inside. And like you mentioned, 2 lines just kind of meeting in the middle, and that's all she wrote. I'd be worried about Connor or Kevin Foster in that number 8 car. That's not a light impact that he took.
I'm kind of worried about Ty Marasco, honestly. That's his second contact tonight. Neither really being his fault. He's made contact both times. You know, we don't talk about aerodynamics being important in Bristol, but when you're already battling a loose race car, which seems to be the indication all night long, you don't want to have any body damage.
Caution number 2 on the afternoon. Still prior to that 1/4 mark, couple of cars in pit road. Among those is Justin Burnham, Kevin Foster, Nick Osipek are in pit road as well. Now, here's the other big thing about Bristol that really separates it from any other racetrack, and it's one that This is the first season we've been able to, in fact, I think this is one of the first races ever where I've been able to kind of bring this up. Dual pit roads at Bristol Motor Speedway. Half the field on the front, as in the top 20, and if you had a 40-car field, the other 20 would be on the back. That's not something I've ever had to really bring up here at this racetrack. Tonight, it is, with a good third of this field pitting on the backstretch.
But the good news about the dual pit road layout, Nolan, is that no matter where your pit stall is, everyone enters and exits at the same point. As someone who has driven the single pit road variant of this, and you have to kind of merge out correctly and find your spot, it's a nightmare, right? So the beautiful thing is everyone goes all the way around the same pace, your pit stalls, wherever your pit stall is, you know, but everyone's going to do it together. I love this layout of this track. To me, it's a step above, you know, the two pit roads where you just kind of merge yourself in and out. So, but you're right. It's kind of unique to have that many people on the back pit road here, you know, in a race like this. But yeah, I like it.
The single pit road layout is brutal as well on green flag pit stops. If you ever get around to it, you're not going, you know, maybe 2 or 3 laps down and then cycling through. You're going 5 or more. It is devastating. So when you're coming down to pit road on a green, you are really gambling that there's not going to be a caution the next few laps. Otherwise, you are screwed.
Well, it's assuming you remember where your pit, which pit entrance you're using and everything, right? We've all been there before and had that moment. We're here lined up again. So far, Zimmerman has led every lap. Justin Levine has been in P2, I think, for every lap, or darn near every lap. Michael Thorpe back there with 3rd and 4th with Matthew Chastain. Matt back here up in the limelight for a better reason. Remember, a couple weeks ago, he had that hardware problem, Nolan, and sort of hit really hard in the wall. Well, tonight, he's hoping not to hit a wall at Bristol.
Hoping not, and who knows? Still a long way to go in racing action this afternoon. Green flag is back in the air. Brian Zimmerman clear down to the turn number 1 with Justin Levine just behind. And they're fighting it out for 3rd on back. Thorpe clears to the number 3 spot, and Chastain will slot into 4th.
Whoa, look at that big wiggle out of the 12. My goodness, that's scary. That was Matthew Chastain, speak of the devil. And that wiggle was, whew.
Those wiggles, man, I mean, they can catch you out big time. A good chunk of this field as well has not come down to pit road yet. They don't want to get onto some really cool tires. Now that they've gotten this current set a bit more up to scratch. Larry Bell trying to work to the inside of Ping. Fights his way off of turn number 2. Ping still with that run around the outside while the pit loses performance. Number 43, Camaro, making moves down low, but none that's putting them up into the field.
None yet, but they're definitely working. There's the Austin Edstrom up top. You see different cars trying to make a way around and find a lane they prefer. I'm still stunned in a way how many cars prefer the top lane, but why they are up there, Nolan, is when you have a race car that's already kind of handling loose and having a hard time through the corner, if you get to the top of the track, you're putting less input into the wheel, and therefore you're hoping you'll have less of a problem, you know, with that loose race car is what you're hoping for. Here's a battle for the lead, by the way. This is Zimmerman and Justin Levine, and this is the closest Levine has been all night.
Side by side, the number 22 car still tracking up to the high side, while the Energizer 42 works down low. Michael Thorpe Jr. is in the mix as well. Thorpe, one of those guys that is still hunting to try to pick up a race win at the Bristol Motor Speedway. He has finished in the top 5 in both races past. In fact, he is the only driver to have finished in the top 5 in both races so far at Bristol. Now he's trying to cap that off with a podium, or even better, a win.
And it's kind of funny watching Thorpe race up here. When he and I talked pre-race, he wasn't exactly confident about this track. He told me his goal was to survive. That's the one word I got. I said, well, what's the goal beyond that? He said, well, once you get 10 to go, I'll worry about what my goal is. Well, here we are well before 10 to go, and he's obviously got a goal of trying to get up front. And listen, at most racetracks, you would often say that being up front is safer, as he now makes a pass on Justin Levine. But if you ask me, being up front at Bristol means you're already just back at the back of the field.
Isn't that kind of the rule of thumb when it comes to racers, right? The tracks that they're the least confident at are the ones where they have the highest chance of success.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yep. I think it's just because it's almost like you're trying to prove yourself wrong, and you're so mad that this is awful, I hate this, and you're more focused in, right? You go to somewhere you feel good at, you're kind of talking, you're hanging back, you're on Discord with the friends and everything. But yeah, if you do, to me, man, you do something or do a track, pardon me, where you're not confident, I typically, you're right, typically most people perform better that way.
So they'll remain single file for the time being for the top spot. Further down the field, not seeing too much of the way of side-by-side battles. I think we've kind of got things single filed out for the first time really all day long. There you see Benjamin Lacey down to the inside. We got trouble.
This will be caution number 3. Oh, there's a car on the inside. That's the 83. I misspoke about that car earlier. I said that car was Larry Bell. That's not. Larry's the 43. That's the 83. That's Jason Greenwell. Let's see what happens to Mr. Greenwell. Sort of that old golf livery of sorts with the old petty style number on the side. Let's see what happens here. Coming up out of the, this is out of 2 right here.
Ooh, Canfield caught the wall.
Down the back straight. Caught, oh yeah. Checked up for Canfield and then got spun around by a car. Oh, to Marasco again. Oh man. I thought Marasco was involved a 3rd time. There's a 23 involved. That's Tanner Marr.
No dice for Tanner Marr and avoidances this time around. Take one more look at speed. Justin Levine, Brian Dees, Corey Sherman all in a pit row, but it's a bit of a weird one. I mean, Canfield didn't get loose. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, maybe this wasn't on the gas. Maybe he's just trying to not get on the gas a little bit later to help manage the looseness of the race car. But you're right, just a difference in speed. Caught up here. Look at this. Pit road's now busy. I like this call, Nolan. We're almost 25% of the way through the race, and you and I had a discussion pre-race about how this track, you know, for high tide doesn't always produce a lot of yellow flags. So if I get a chance at lap 50 to put new tires on and put gas in this car, I'm stoked because, hey, listen, later I might get to, you know, if I have to stop under green, I'm 50 laps to the good on someone who stayed out, which right now looks to be our top 13 on the track.
And we were both talking earlier about how we weren't 100% confident in our ability to stay under 5 cautions or less, which is what's been the case throughout the course of Bristol's history with the High Tide Racing League. Man, that was a close shave there from Marasco. I'm curious on, if we get a ride on board with Jonathan Canfield here, what goes on inside the car here to cause him to hit this wall? He got a little twitch, but I think he put a little bit more wheel in it, but he might have kept it off of it.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of wall here, and that's easy to do at Bristol. I know it sounds very simple to keep your car off the wall, but when you're right in that high lane up there, you're always kind of flirting with the idea of hitting the wall, right? It's why some drivers don't want to be up there, because some drivers don't like the idea of flirting with the wall. They don't want to be up there. They don't want to risk that. And so maybe sometimes you miss out on a 1/10, 2/10, 3/10 of a second of time. But in your mind, it's a risk versus reward. It's return on investment, if you will, about what will you possibly get out of it. So, yep, just got up in the wall. Maybe that scrubbed a little bit of speed off the car, and then calamity ensued on back. Well, listen, you know, I think it's worth saying we're caution 3 on lap 50. I think you and I have both been a part of different races at Bristol, either driving, commentating, or what have you. Or caution 3 at Bristol could have been by lap 10. So I think the fact that we're 50 laps in means we're doing all right.
I've had far worse, right? And I think we can both say the same, right? I mean, 3 cautions in 50 laps at Bristol out of 200, that really isn't terrible. I mean, we've gotten a lot of green flag runs. I can understand it feels like they're coming in quick succession, but that's just because of how rapidly the laps tick away as it is. I mean, if this race goes green to checkered, we're probably out of here in under 45 minutes.
Oh, I would agree with that 100%. So now the question I have in my mind, by the way, the drivers who pitted, Justin Levine is the first of them back in P13. Let's try and keep an eye on the leaderboard on the left side of our screen, Nolan. I want to see how fast Levine can get through this with 50-lap newer tires.
Zimmerman and Thorpe line it up 1-2. The top 12 still have yet to come down to pit road under racing action this afternoon. Green flag back in the air. And no surprises, Zimmerman is pretty much clear down to turn 1, but Thorpe did try to give him a run for his money.
Yeah, beautiful start again by Zimmerman. Look at Thorpe right here at the bottom of the track. He's going to try to just get on around. Now, what Thorpe needs to do probably better than that right there if he wants to catch the leader, Nolan, he has to track back out better out of that corner. Yes, I know you're on the bottom, but you got to get back up here and a little bit higher on that wall to get more speed out of those corners.
Something going on deep in the field here. Benjamin Lacey, Austin Edgeman Moore, they were down to the apron coming off of turn 2, so there's been a big scramble further down the pack. Matthew Chastain struggling to keep Scott Shire at bay, and all of this allowing the top 2 to get away by over a second. less than 5 laps into the green flag run. Here you see Terrell Baker getting around the outside of Eddie Haggy as well. There was some huge stacking up there coming on off the turn 2, though, a couple laps ago.
Yeah, I can hear it through the voice chat. People saying, hey, wrecking or checking up, what I kept hearing, but we didn't have anything that brought a yellow out. So obviously, everyone eventually gathered it up. Let's take a look here and see what happens. So the 17 on the inside, that's Sherman on the outside, the 19. And where's it going to be? I don't know if there is anything. It's just everyone's so clumped together.
Oh, right
there it is. Oh, hello.
Jeez.
That's Justin Levine that Sherman just got in the back of.
Well,
oh boy.
That's a good reason to check up.
That's it, and you know what? Better, that's a good reason why some people don't want to pit, right? Zimmerman, Thorpe, Chastain, Justin Ping, all these guys who didn't pit, that's what they're scared of. They're scared of if you get back in the pack, you can't control your own destiny as well as you can in the front of the pack. So that's why some people are not excited to pit. Now we do have a yellow flag, and it's going to be the 83 again, I think. We'll wait and see. He's down pit road. You see the 98's going to be involved in, well, that's Michael Ashmore.
And potentially a double whammy on this one.
Yeah, the 83 came through and said, hey guys, this car is more broken than I thought it was. And I don't know. He says that car was broke. Oh, my goodness. That just felt like he was, maybe it was broken. That's why he's in the brakes so hard. But I think he was really in the brakes through the corner there. And he was super slow. Watch this again here. Watch how slow he is through the corner. I mean, I don't know. You can't do that, guys. It's just one of my pet peeves. If you're going to listen to me commentate long enough, you're going to know I hate that stuff, man. I know why you think you're doing it. I know you think you're helping. But watch on board here. This is the machine here.
Seeing up the road and then.
Yeah, that's egregious. I'm trying to be careful what I say, but I hate that stuff, Nolan. It just, I know you think you're being helpful by getting out of the way, and you're not. So here's on board with the car. This is the 83 machine. Watch here. Oh, look at those RPMs fall. That's not even in the throttle, Nolan. That was way down. He was almost up into the 6,000 or 5,000 RPMs going through that corner. That's why you get run over. But, you know, it's funny. You and I did a little bit of road commentary over the weekend, and what comes to mind, we tell everyone, be predictable and let cars pass you. Don't try and let people by. That's what we say in road commentary all the time. That applies to ovals as well. There's nothing predictable about what the 83 just did.
How Michael Ashmore did not slam into the tail end is beyond me. And he was on a 4-tire lockup with that as well, trying to keep it out of him. I agree. There were better ways to do that. To his credit, he did get a little loose as well, which doesn't help matters, but that's more of a matter of, you know, was that car already going to be getting loose on its own, or was he getting loose because he was already trying to slow up to get down to pit road?
Yeah, there are better ways to do that. That's all I'm going to say. We can analyze it 100 different ways and pull out telestrators and whatever you want, but you can't pull down the track like that. I mean, that's just, that's egregious. I'm sorry. That's, you know, I get it. So we go back to the front. Zimmerman's still leading, and Michael Thorpe still second. Chastain's up in third, but man, that little grouping he had of cars behind him makes me wonder if Chastain was a little off pace, honestly, Nolan, because that was a big, massive herd of cars back there. And of note, by the way, after that contact, Justin Levine will have fallen back one spot in the P14.
And I think a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that he got punted sideways by Corey Sherman in the middle of 1 and 2. And he did a good job of recovering that car as well. That probably should have been our 4th caution right there, but he kept it underneath him, caused a bit of a scramble, yes, but he was able to get that thing back rolling, and now we see him putting all of that skill to use as he's going to try to work his way back through the field.
Yeah, and I believe he will. I do. I think he'll work his way through. And once he does, by the way, that'll be the what do we call it, the signal, the go-ahead. It's for everyone else to pit here. But here we are, pace car down. Let's go green flag one more time at Bristol.
Green flag back in the air. Zimmerman clear of Thorpe. No surprises there. Down to the inside of the racetrack. Terrell Baker looking for the outside of Dustin Ping.
Oh, man, Chastain, I thought was going to put the 81 up on the wall with how far he cracked out, but he saved it last second. Here we go. But look at that Chastain falling back quickly here.
And Chastain already dropping like a stone in this one. Well, Thorpe is battling it out with Zimmerman for the top spot, trying to get to the inside. And Thorpe, we've talked about it time and time again. He's like a dog with a bone. Once he smells blood in the water, he is not going to stop chasing it until it's his or until he's forced to back out. And I think he just got forced right there with how the lines kind of came together. But Chastain's not doing himself any favors running up here like this. Larry Bell, Eddie Haggy, Terrell Baker, Dustin Ping all starting to break away. Now Levine has already fought back into the top 10.
Yeah, Levine's doing a great job here. You see him on screen here. He's got himself just now past the 4 car. Now there's the 12 machine. So you can see just how quickly Chastain is falling back. See it also there on the left side of the screen on the scoring ticker. And man, Levine is locked in now. New tires, a little bit of clean track. He's going to eat it up.
Further down the field, the other newcomer into the championship this afternoon, Hayden Wheeler, running under the some independent colors here this afternoon. No team for that number 29 Ford. Hasn't had too bad of a race. Down 3 spots, yes, but still up into the top 20. Still with a completely clean race car and still doing everything he can to try to get the maximum amount of performance out of that car as physically possible. Trouble for Ty Marasco on the backstretch.
Looped it around, but seems to be okay. He's got it moving again. The officials can let the race go. The leaders are on by safely. Let's watch his rejoin here and make sure that goes okay, but I think it will. Yep, all's good. Seems slow, but he might take a lap to kind of get his confidence back under him. Doing pretty well. Now we're re-wide at Bristol. This is not good.
Marasco, I think, still trying to get those tires cooled down. He probably smoked them when he came, when he went for that spin. Look at how slow he is off of the corners here. Brian Dees also with issues off of turn 4. He slowed up big time.
Wow, this is getting better by the second. Marasco's getting more up to speed and kind of getting surrounded. People are making that pass. There's John Osborne on the outside. That's Corey Sherman up there in the 19 on the outside. Let's watch what happens to Marasco here. He's got a car behind him. But I think he's just going to loop it right about here. Oh, and looped it down the straightaway. That's definitely an issue of getting on the gas too soon at the bottom of the corner. Got the RPMs up and just the car wanted to get out from under him.
Justin Levine with fresh tires, charging up to the 5th spot now for the front line. Esports 42, Eddie Haggy still battling with him around the high side, trying to get that massive run going. Look at the speed, even on old tires, that Haggy can still carry off of that top shelf just because of the profiling of the corners at this racetrack. Levine's in a big fight to try to get up into the 5th. And again, he is right now on about 50 lap fresher tires than everybody around him, and he is still struggling on the inside.
Yeah, he'll make it work. I mean, where the outside cars are benefiting is they're going to get a better run out of the corner, right? They get to get on the gas a little sooner and make that work. If Levine gets to the top side of this track after these 2 cars, though, he's going to eat up some track and do a great job. But, yeah, right now, I mean, you can see he's trying to be respectful, trying not to track out too far, not get this thing too close. But, I mean, listen, he's gone from 14th to 4th now in a matter of laps, so he's still doing pretty all right.
And now looking to try to threaten for the podium, and right now the podium drivers throwing themselves up. Problem setting in for Brian Zimmerman. He might have just dropped out of the session altogether. Thorpe clears Ping right now for the lead. Tentatively until we hear more about what happened to the 22 car.
Yeah, I believe Zimmerman is now out of this race for the moment, so he is indeed disconnected. So right now a new leader for the first time, and it's going to be Michael Thorpe. This is a great run for Thorpe tonight, because the last I looked, our points leader Dalton Kilrow is down in the mid-20s. So this is good news in a sense for Michael Thorpe.
Justin Levine charged up to the number 2 spot. He's gotten around Dustin Ping. Now we're about to see unstoppable force meeting immovable object. Does Thorpe go on defense here, knowing that Levine is pitted earlier and that he's on much fresher rubber than he is?
I would not go on defense here. I would let Levine go. Those tires are already pretty old. They're probably worn out. You're probably not performing the best. There's no need to fight someone right now. You know, we're only lap 85 of 200 party in this race.
It's still a very, very long way to go before this race comes to its conclusion. Justin Levine, for the first time in his High Tide Racing League career, goes to the point in his debut race for the Energizer number 42. So a good run there for Justin Levine to the point. Fresh rubber, yes, but now you try to power away, try to open up a big gap here with that fresh tires underneath them for incoming pit stops.
So what this will likely do, Nolan, for anyone here who now, if or when our next yellow happens, is this will sort of open the floodgates of pit road, right? Now that you've seen what Levine can do on a few laps with brand new tires, hey, I want that. I'll have what he's having, please, as the old line says. It's probably what will happen if and when we get to that point. But look at this 4-car battle rate. This is 43 up there. That's Larry Bell in that big purple machine. You see Austin Edstrom back there in the pink and yellow. A couple other cars here. That's a 4-car involved with Scott Schuer. So lots of side-by-side battles at Bristol.
Plenty of side-by-side battles indeed. Brian Zimmerman, I believe, has just found himself rejoined the racetrack. In fact, he has. So Zimmerman going to get himself back up and rolling this afternoon. Good show for him. So he knows he's down, but he's not out. You think other drivers could still have problems. He can still pick up some spots if he gets lucky enough. It's just such a shame, right? I mean, you start the race on pole, and then you drop packets middle of the race and lose the lead like that. That has got to sting.
It does. He's now 7 laps down, unfortunately, so that's gonna stink. Now, what will happen a little bit here is in the process of disconnecting and reconnecting, he technically got a pit stop in. So if this thing stays green to the end, he's good on that. So he may make up a couple laps when everyone else pits. But you're right. What a heartbreak to fall out from the lead to 7 laps down.
I believe we're the longest green flag run of this race as well at this point in time, nearing the halfway mark. So these guys have been having a good show of it. And I think for the last 10 laps or so, Scott Shire and Larry Bell have been double file. Benjamin Lacey and Austin Edstrom have been double file as well. And of course, you got guys like Brian Dees, John Osborne, more. They're just kind of caught in the middle. They've got absolutely nowhere to take this run.
Yeah, nowhere to go. And sometimes you actually have to kind of lift a little bit and let things happen. There'll be 3 wide. That's a 7.
Oh, whoa!
Hold on.
Huge crash. Kevin Foster tumbling down to the turn number 4. Where's the caution for this? There's no yellow. And now the yellow flies, but frankly, way too late.
Yeah, a little late there on the call. That was Benjamin Lacey in the 7 we saw go 3 wide. I was like, man, he got a good run. Now we know he was 3 wide because he was trying to avoid a car checking up in front of him. My goodness, there's a bunch of replays to see here that will make this moment mean something. There's Austin Edstrom stuck up top as Justin Levine helps pace the field.
I'm willing to bet that Lacey probably didn't even know there was a wreck there, which is why it went lower. He would have been stacking up as well.
Here.
Now, this was not a wreck 3 wide. This was actual 3 wide. And thing just...
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, didn't leave a lot of room for Foster to go there.
Nope, that's where it's going to begin. Then the 81's going to go spinning around, and I'm guessing he's going to be the car stuck yet in the middle of the track. And they just ran in there. I mean, they just ran in. In fact, listen, I think Lacey knew there was a wreck there. I think he could see the car spinning around because, see, he just dove in there and went way low and avoided everything. He made up a bunch of spots in this moment. Lots of cars involved. Watch this again here. Middle car's at 81. He's going to come up to the 8's going to get loose and sort of spin it around. That's Kevin Foster. My goodness, they just pile in. John Osborne piles in. And many, I think, Chastain, not all of them made contact, but, and listen, I should hesitate to use the word piles in because it's hard to check up here. If we could watch a replay from maybe a perspective of a Chastain or an Osborne later, you'll see how hard it is to get checked up here. There's the first wreck, and 81's got to go, okay, I'm good, maybe I survived. Nope, no, I didn't survive.
Yeah, man, that is, it's real tough to get into a wreck like that. We'll try to get another look, and I agree. Let's go with John Osborne. He was kind of in the middle of this whole battle pack as well.
So watch this here. So this is where Lacey's going to go to the bottom, 3 wide, and see, now from Osborne's point of view, he has no idea.
Yeah.
He gets stuck behind cars, and we get a better view on from the roof of the car than he does in car. He had probably no idea stuck behind those cars. Watch the onboard here. Gonna come out of the corner, and it's hard to tell right there. I mean, there's nothing there, and just oh no, and you're already
way too late
there. So, and that's how wrecks happen at Bristol, right? We call it the accordion effect because it just goes on back, and again, they weren't that far from the leaders when it happened.
This is with Kevin Foster. This is one of the most violent crashes I think we've seen at Bristol in a while. There's been a lot of flips at Bristol this year on Green Flag TV, which frankly shocks me a little bit that there's been so many. It's not really a racetrack that comes to mind when you think of tracks most likely to get a flip in at, and I desperately want to get a look on board with the iRacing safety car with all of this, because this is going to be a sight that I'm willing to bet Benny the pace car driver does not see all that often.
Now, he looks pretty calm and collected right there, but watch, it's going to happen right in front of him, right about here, and there's a car flying by him.
Whoopsie daisy.
And he said, all right, well, let me go on out of here, and let me see if I can paint this around. Now the yellow came out. I mean, he was probably sitting there thinking, when am I going to go? When are you putting the yellow out? And this took a long time, but, well, here we are. We're back to Green Flag Racing, Nolan. As we went through all the replays of that wreck, they quickly did all their business. And by the way, most everyone pitted there. Corey Sherman, Matthew Chastain, and more, with Justin Levine being the one non-pitter.
Critically, yeah, like you said, critically, Levine, the one driver that did not pit. Whoa, look out as Bob Berry clips the outside wall coming off of 4. And that will not be a crash, so will not be a caution. We will keep things rolling. Bob Berry into the outside wall again. And he is struggling. Look at Bob Berry just tumbling through the field.
Yeah, and that may just be, there's two things that could be wrong. It could be the car. It could be that, broke something in the car by hitting the wall like that. Or it could just be a confidence problem. Sometimes when you hit the wall, hold on, caution's out again. We'll come back to that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's Levine.
Oh,
and I'm going to predict that he had some help. I would be surprised to see that Justin Levine spun that around on his own. No, there's John Osborne going by. I'm going to predict there's a little bit of assistance here.
I don't even know what the yellow's for, because frankly, there were about 3 different crashes at the same time. So we'll take this one chronologically. This is Brian Zimmerman. He kind of pulled off to the inside, and it looks like he might have just actually pulled it to a stop as opposed to...
It's going to be your caution right there,
yeah.
I believe, if that's the case. But what happens to Levine is my question, because he got looped around. I don't quite understand. Let's watch this again. There's
that's the yellow right there.
Oh, you're right. There's the 84 looping on around.
There's Bob Berry taking a hit.
David Lakey.
And this is what happened to Levine.
So this will be after the caution's out, by the way. You see the yellow lights already on, and Chastain did get the memo.
Yeah.
If we back that replay up and do it in slow-mo, you'll see the yellow lights on the poles on the outside of the track. And yeah, just, in the words of Office Space, let me get another copy of that memo. Watch this here, and up there should be the yellow lights. I saw them a second ago when we went around.
Yeah, watch him coming. He'll be from the right side of the A pillar coming in here. Right here, so he's already slowing up. Yellow's not actually out yet.
Huh.
Like, we just
all right,
passed...
let me retract what I said. There's a light.
Yeah,
nope. Yeah, there's a light right there.
So the caution was for Lakey's crash, and I think because there's a slight delay between when the command is given, when the lights actually turn on. I think he was reacting to the command rather than the actual lights.
Well, and the problem with that, as we see it again, and let me first have to retract my statement on Chastain. My goodness. See Bob Berry got up there, but let me retract my statement. Listen, I thought the caution was already out. It was not. So now I need to say this here for Levine. Just because the caution's out, you can't come to a full stop, my dude. You got to pace around a little bit and, do a gradual, go out to your local street corner and decide to stop at the red light at the last second, slam on the brakes, see how well that works for you. It doesn't. Sort of the same idea here. You can't expect everyone to stop on a dime, but boy, oh boy. So since he got spun around before the yellow was out, they're not going to give him his spot back, Nolan. He's going to have to earn it back the old-fashioned way, if you will. But speaking of Lakey being involved in that wreck, I want to point out, he told me before the race, he was a little nervous. He said, quote, "This race could be chaos." Well, he's right. It is chaos.
We've just broken the caution record at this racetrack. The last race we had here, we had 5 cautions in 200. Today, we've had 6 in just 100. Now, to be fair, This is still a relatively even trend with what we were seeing throughout the first quarter of this race as well, right? Because we had 3 cautions within the first 50 laps, so the next 3 have come out within the next 60 or so. So it's not like we're breaking a trend here or seeing anything extend.
No, and a lot of these wrecks is nothing. I mean, you could say, hey, someone could have held on to a car better, or someone maybe could have not got loose, but nothing here is super egregious. There's no one wrecking each other. This is all just the car. Listen, these Xfinity cars are hard to drive. They're possibly, in my mind, the loosest of the 3 NASCAR vehicles. But let's hold on here. This is Michael Thorpe on the restart. Matthew Chastain on the outside. Now, I wonder, Nolan, with Chastain running over Levine like that, did he get any kind of front end damage, and what will it do to that car?
You can see a little bit of a dent on the right front, I do believe. We'll try to, yeah, right there. You can see that right front kind of crumpled in just a little bit. So we'll have to, I think, wait a couple laps to really see how that impacts the car. For now, Corey Sherman and Terrell Baker running 1-2. Even though he's on the outside, Chastain doesn't look like he's got too much speed underneath that race car. Benjamin Lacey just got squeezed in big time, though, by Larry Bell.
Yeah, Lacey, of course, that car that went 3 wide to avoid that big wreck earlier has really got himself up here in a P7. Remember, he started back in the teens, so this is a big jump for him, trying to have a solid points night. And here's the 13 machine down here. That's Hunter Karsten down at the bottom of that track.
Corey Sherman last time by, fastest lap of the race, a 14.90. So he is on fire right now at the top end of the field. Chastain, whoa, and around goes Corey Sherman. 3 laps after setting the fastest, he spins it off of turn 4.
He's probably being a little aggressive with those tires, a little aggressive with that gas pedal. Looped it on around. Good news, only hurt himself. No other cars involved that I could tell. Let's watch. The engine's going to come off of 4 here. This is the back straight. Turn 3, turn 4, and just loops it around. Yep. And, oh, it did hit the wall pretty hard. That'll probably be, if not done for the evening, that'll be a big hit to the performance of that vehicle.
On board. He wasn't even really on the throttle. He was more just kind of holding the RPM stationary.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought for sure he would have got on the gas a little too soon. We saw the hood wobbling back and forth there. Not a good sign for that machine.
Larry Bell's in a pit road. Justin Levine is back in a pit road. Might be trying to fix up a little bit of that damage on that number 42 entry. We're starting to rack them up. We had a pretty good green flag run there from about, what, lap 60 to 100. It's been kind of escalating ever since. I'm still amazed at that flip that Kevin Fawcett took down the front stretch. I think the only flip that really rivals that we've had would be Hunter Thrower's barrel roll. He tumbled about 5 times down the front straightaway in the OMSRL Cup Series a couple months ago. So it has not been a pretty year for Bristol in soft wrecks this year.
No, and so what's going to happen now in this race as more and more yellows begin to come out, Nolan, is these drivers are going to feel antsy and anxious about more yellows. And so now you're going to think, hey, I have to go fast. I have to quickly get through this field and get the spots I want before the next yellow comes out. Well, the problem with that is you may end up being the next yellow when you race like that. So if everyone could take 3, 4, 5 laps and calm down again, we could probably get ourselves another good run in here. But as more and more yellows come out, more and more people will be aggressive to try and beat the next yellow.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I mean, that's where the phrase cautions breed cautions come from. And then you have, of course, the opposite end of the spectrum. You know, some of the more aggressive drivers in the field, they're realizing, okay, we're in the second half of the race. There's not a lot of actual time left in this race. If I want to make a move, I got to make that sooner. And that, in turn, ups the aggression. So when you get, drivers that are getting more and more aggressive as the race goes along versus drivers that are trying to ease off more and more, and they're kind of colliding in the middle, it's a recipe for, a caution fest from here to the end.
Yeah, it really is. By the way, of note here, look at that. Tyrell Baker up leading this race, Nolan. Up 23 spots. Started 24th tonight. Now is up here in P1 also. Eddie Haig's up here. He's up 5 spots. Matthew Chastain up 7. And then Thor and Gibson both up plus 10 in their spots right now. So lots of big movers here due to all the calamity at Bristol.
And lights will go out aboard the iRacing pace car. Will be 1 lap to green this time by. Haggy still with the outside line. Baker opting for the inside on the restart here. I'll double them up once again. Still have a decent number of cars in this race. I think we've got about 24 that are in the running still out of 29, and 18 of those are on the lead lap.
Yeah, good number of cars on the lead lap, so we'll wait and see how this plays out. Well, now we got new leaders up front, so let's see how this restart goes. Has Baker practice his restarts? Can Haig get up here? Can Chastain be a factor? Let's wait and find out.
Into the guy can restart zone off of 4. Green flags out. We are back to racing action at the last Great Coliseum.
Well, I asked if Baker could get a restart, and boy, did he ever. Look at that jump already he's got over the rest of the field. Now he's riding the load line. That's something we've not seen the leader do a whole lot around this track. Although most of the leaders have been up at the high part of the track, so it tells me he prefers the bottom lane of Bristol.
And hey, to each their own, I prefer the bottom lane as well. I know it's not necessarily the fastest lane, but I still prefer that bottom line myself. I feel like my car is a bit more stable there. Michael Thorpe Jr., though, showing that his car is capable just about everywhere he puts it, as he now goes top to bottom, trying to challenge Eddie Hagger for second. He also just set the fastest lap of the race, and it looks like we might have a problem. David Lakey around off 2.
Yeah, Lakey's around, so he's slow but good. So you see there's the leaders come around. He'll be up to speed and okay before they get there, most likely. So we'll keep green here.
Well,
back to the field. Everyone's cold. There's another one.
Yep,
Never mind.
Tantamar. Where one has misfortunes, another one is no doubt doomed to follow.
Boy, oh boy, watch it here, and let's just take a look and see what happens. That's the 84. Woo, buddy. Looped it on around and got it out of everyone's way. It's kind of impressive in a way.
Then immediately after, Tanner Marr with help. That's a weird one. It looked like he got a little loose, had it saved, but the 13 just couldn't react in time.
No, that's pretty hard to do, so we'll... Another caution out here at Bristol. Well, let's go ahead and quickly pull down our first in-race interview, Nolan. I'm going to grab our leader. I'm going to go ahead and grab Tyrell Baker. Tyrell Baker, pardon me. Welcome to the Green Flag TV booth. You're leading a race. How does that feel?
You know, it feels really good. I haven't really led much. I think the last time I led here was like Rockingham or something. But yeah, I've progressively just got better at Bristol, so it's a good time.
So how it looks like pure chaos from up here. Is that a word you'd use from inside the car?
I think I've had a few times where I've actually had to like really clench up. So I agree. I don't know what the fireworks are happening behind me, but I'm just trying to just look at the racetrack and see what I'm seeing right now. That's absolutely nothing ahead of me.
So right now we're working lap 124. You pitted right before lap 100, so I'm assuming you're good on gas. Would it take like a crowbar to pry you off the track for tires? And there's no way you're pitting again, right?
That's a tough decision. I was just thinking, I really don't know. Even if we have like a 40 lap run, maybe then I pit, but I don't know. I don't think pit road will be seeing me unless I'm upside down. So
fair enough. Well, I know the pace stops are fast here, so I'm gonna let you get back to your team. Good luck for the rest of the night. Maybe we'll talk to you later.
I hope you do. Thank you.
All right, have a good. All right, that is Tyrell Baker, part of Old School Racers, is the team he represents here within the High Tide Racing League. And so, Nolan, he said that pitting would be a tough choice. I'm telling you right now, you'd have to get like a crowbar, the jaws of life, or something to pry me off the track down pit road if I was leading here.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can't exactly fault any of these drivers for wanting to stay out, try to go that distance. I mean, it's one of those races, right? You got to try to make up whatever ground you can get, and when you lose so much time, and when all of these issues seem to be just happening further and further back through this field, it's always the big question, right? How is this race going to pan out? How will these tires actually help you in the long run? And if the cautions are coming fast enough that you can stay out of the old tires, there's not really any point in a track like this.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. So I don't know. I mean, it is a tough choice. New tires always feel good. We saw what Levine did with new tires, right? That's sort of your prototype, if you will. But I don't know, man. It's just with all the calamity here tonight. I mean, Levine's caught up from it from the front, so maybe the front's not safe, but it's safer than the back.
It's almost like the Martinsville conundrum.
Yeah, well, I mean that's different because you could technically pit in Martinsville under green or under yellow and almost get lapped because of how fast those are and how slow the pace speed is. So it's a little different, but also the same. You're right. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Right, if a big run happens, we'll wait and see what happens.
Green flag up in the air once again. Tyrell Baker out to the front, immediately jumps to the high side to cover off Michael Thorpe Jr. while Eddie Hagge taking it down low as they hit the back straightaway.
A bunch of 2 wide racing. That's Benjamin Lacey there in the bottom of that black and blue car. And trying his best to get around Chastain up top. And not going to get there yet, but at least it's there visible. By the way, this is a battle for the lead. This is Thorpe now back to the lead, almost trying to clear the 25 out of 4. At the line, if that were the race, that would not have been Thorpe. That would have been Baker, but we're not done yet.
And right now, Michael Thorpe Jr. hunting big time down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Good old Money Mike. Oh, bit of contact there over turn number 4. They nearly both crash for the top spot. And I think that's caused Eddie Hagge to back off just a little bit in preparation.
Yeah, I would have backed up a lot and just been, oh, okay, maybe I want to, give them some space to work this out here. But man, they're still side by side, and time by time, it's hard to tell who's winning when we come back around the line here. But like I said, for Thorpe here, I think it's important for Thorpe to stop though and assess the situation as much as you can on these short laps. Because once again, Dalton Kilroe, he's up to 9th, but you're still getting 9 spots on Kilroe. I would be careful how aggressive I was, and don't throw away points.
And it looks like both Baker, well, it looks like at least Baker might be thinking that as Thorpe clears for the race lead. And now Baker opted to go back to the bottom side where that car's been a little bit more comfortable for him throughout the race of this race tonight. Hagge trying to make that look for the number 2 spot. And he's still got Benjamin Lacey further behind. We saw him fight with Matthew Chastain. He's dropped back now into the clutches of Connor Gibson. We've seen get involved in a couple of incidents throughout the night.
Yeah, almost everyone's been involved in incidents so far here tonight, so almost easier to put on a list of who hasn't been involved. And there is that Bob Berry I think I saw on the bottom of the track, that yellow and red machine, but down pit road he goes. So that'd be a very slow crawl down pit road as we stay green here. He'll lose multiple laps on the field.
It's not the only one. Looking like that was Kevin Foster, the car that we saw. But over and now around goes Osipek further behind. So Osipek spins in the 9 down the racetrack up in the traffic. No yellow. There it is. Now it comes out.
I got nervous when that car started to back up. I was like, oh no. But he got it saved pretty well here on the track.
So Thorpe still in the at the head of this field, and I can almost guarantee you that Osipek got turned there.
Now let's wait and see what's going to happen here. We'll watch on board and see what happens. That's going to be the 43 behind him. And no, he mostly lost it on his own. He may have gotten a little help from the 43, but that car was about 45 degrees sideways before the 43 got there.
I'll take the L on that one. Apologies to Larry Bell, who was the car that kind of finished him off. But, I mean, like you said, whether or not he hit him or not, that car was probably going to go around regardless. A few takers in the pit road. Very split call. Hagge, Chastain, Shire, Marasco, Sikorsky, Gibson, and Marr are all in. The top, what's going to be the top 10 are staying out, including Osipek, who just crashed.
Yeah, including Osipek. That may be the biggest one. You might as well come down and see what you can do with some new tires if that's the case here. So we got Thorpe, Baker, Lacey, Wheeler, Karsten, Kilroe, Levine, by the way, back up in P7 after that incident earlier. Bell, I think your top 8, maybe your top 9, and Jonathan Canfield, who have stayed out. So the question now you have to wonder about yourself if you're someone, who just pitted, Haig, Chastain, Gibson, and others, you have to really hope. It's a double-edged sword. You're sort of in a way hoping that the leaders spin their tires and have a bad restart so you can make up some spots, but spinning your tires at Bristol probably also means there could be a wrecked car or two in your way. So you have to be careful about that here on this track. But this is our 9th caution, so as you said earlier, we're definitely breaking a record here, but this is also the most cars we've had on track at Bristol in this league in a couple of seasons. So maybe those two stats kind of are tied together.
Yeah, we only had 19 cars out in season number 2. We had 16 the season before that, which was, of course, the inaugural season. So we are increasing that field size for Bristol by about 30%. So it's been a pretty hefty addition. And to be fair, that can be the same for a lot of races we've had so far. I mean, this season has been the biggest in terms of field sizes that this league has ever had in its history.
It speaks a lot to the talents in here, the clean racing, the race control, the officiating, the organization, everything, because you know, it's not common that every league grows time over time. Sometimes leagues have the opposite effect, and you know, that's unfortunate when that happens. But it does speak a lot to this league to see when it's growing league or season over season, year over year, if you will, in that moment. So Michael Thorpe's going to lead around here. Remember, he came into tonight third in points. Unfortunately for him, Dalton Kilroe is climbing the grid because Dalton Kilroe is now up in P6. So what was once an amazing points night for Michael Thorpe, still a good night, just maybe not what it once was.
We'll double him up and get set to go back at it. Baker up high, Thorpe down low. Thorpe, again, the only driver to have got to top fives in both Bristol races prior to today. Other drivers have also got to top fives, but never a repeat. I think right now he's the most likely candidate to try to go for the race win.
Yeah, by the way, Canfield is begging the driver, saying, hey guys, I'm on old tires here at my spot. Please give me some patience in P9. Let's see if that works out.
Green flag up in the air as we take off, and wow, a huge jump for Thorpe down to the turn one that time around.
There's Lacey up in P3 already. He's now going to attack Baker and see what he can make happen. There's Carson up there. Many other drivers. Like that's Ty Marasco up in the 1. Almost amazing to see that car still moving after all the incidents he's accidentally found tonight. So just shows you how tough these cars are at times.
Jonathan Canfield is being given that patience that he was asking for, so he is steadily dropping back. He's already back to 16th off of this restart. Taking a look up to Hayden Wheeler, finding his way up to the top 5. Not a bad drive at all. We were talking about how he wasn't doing terrible early on. Was down 3 initially, but now +9 in the afternoon, and he just made up another spot, though that's immediately going to be put back because here comes Justin Levine.
By the way, these guys are both new tonight, both making their debuts, and what a great run it is to make your debut and have a statement of a race when you can finish top 5, top 6 at Bristol if they do finish here. I mean, that's something that not a lot of people can ever say they do at Bristol because of all the calamities. So if you can come out here and sort of stamp your name into a top 5 running order on your first race out, you'll gain a lot of respect pretty quickly.
And Justin Levine right now making big statements with the all-out pace that he's got, because he's been wrecked a couple of times tonight, and he's been making steady moves. I think Wheeler's been doing a good job, maybe not so much on the pace front, but making a good statement about how clean of a racer he is. Because after 9 cautions tonight, he has not been involved even slightly in a single one. He's one of the only cars with a completely clean race car on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's so say earlier. That's a pretty short list at this point of people who've not been involved in an incident here. So now here's Wheeler on the outside, getting passed on the inside by Karsten. Now we'll see the 43 of Larry Bell come up under. And we'll see if the little choo-choo train starts to form here at Bristol.
Yeah, Larry Bell working to the bottom, kicking the tail end out a little bit. Dalton Kilroe and Ty Marasco, MFRD teammates are in the mix. Gibson and Chastain are back there, and then you got Haggy and Moore. It's getting a little bit busier towards the tail end of the mid-pack here. Larry Bell gets clear. I think it's safe to say Wheeler is very much the cork in the bottle right now. Yeah,
very much in that spot, unfortunately for him. That line sort of dissipated pretty quickly, so he's no longer getting passed car by car, but now he's got Matthew Chastain under there, and I think that may be Corey Sherman in the 19 back there with the Bass Pro Shops, I believe. I'd have to see the number to see. That may be wrong, but we'll see about that. That is not. That's a 31. I apologize.
And good old Connor Gibson, one of only 2 Canadians in the field tonight. He, alongside Larry Bell, represented the Maple Leafs this afternoon. Chastain to the inside of Wheeler, making quick moves there, but oh, Wheeler pushed out a line, and he's going to glance off the outside wall.
Wow, what a save by Wheeler. That'll also gain you a lot of respect around here when you can have a save like that at Bristol and keep everyone safe and not damage anything too bad. I think he's got a little spooked by the exit by Matthew Chastain there and got the car a little too high in that corner and found himself scuffing the wall.
Oh, and now Dustin Payne hard into the outside wall, just a little ways behind, and he is, that right front is broke. He's broken something on that 81 machine. Looking like he might have finally found himself here as he's trying to get himself rolling, but that was a dicey moment up there in turns 3 and 4.
He's not done yet. Still pretty high up there against the wall. And I told you earlier, this is the danger of running that high lane at Bristol. As you come off of here like that, here's going to come down the front straight into 1 and 2 here. And that was a good corner. So he'll come out of 2, come down the back straight. Watch us here. We're going to go a little faster here on the replay so we can catch up to it. And nope, not there. I must be next corner. Made a little contact on the bottom there with the car on the bottom. It seems to be good here down the 4. Oh, he's going to get checked up for the traffic maybe. Oh, no, he came down and he's made contact with that number 4 machine. And he just slid all the way up the track. So him and Scott Schuer came together. When the 81 came down, Scott was down against the invisible line there. So, yeah.
Yeah, just got a little stacked up for Eddie Hack. I think that scared him down into the 4 of Shire and then just kind of scared himself back up into the outside wall, but kept it relatively clean. I don't think he's considered. You see Hunter Carson, Larry Bell, Connor Gibson fighting it out, and just in front of them, your Season 1 champion, Benjamin Lacey, trying to go around the outside of Ty Marasco. Whoa, and Marasco with a big slide.
Ben's having a great run here. Now going to get the pass around of Marasco due to that slide there. But hey, don't look now, but look up in P2. That's Justin Levine. He had all those problems earlier. He got turned around when the caution wasn't out. Was leading this race once. Hold on. There's another car down there.
Single car, no yellow.
No yellow. But I was saying Levine, remember, he was leading. And then got turned around when we thought the caution was coming out. And he is now going to try and run down Michael Thorpe. Less than a second of a gap between them.
The battle continues elsewhere. Take a quick look at what happened to Osapek for the Ryko Performance, number 9 Camaro. Oh, starting to go around, and that's just all self-inflicted.
Yep. And I think for the most part, though, listen, obviously you're mad, you're embarrassed, you're frustrated that you get turned around. Never mind. Like that. So I'd say it was a clean race car, and then he went and bobbered the wall. But, yeah. And that's not the first time we've seen Osapek involved tonight.
Ooh.
So for him, it's kind of night it's going to become. There's another car down. Is that Karsten? No, that's not the 13.
Jeez, yeah, Hunter Karsten with a big
Karsten
slide
was,
as
yeah.
well. What is going on at Bristol tonight? I mean, it seems like everybody wants some bit of camera time with this. But
well, I mean, you know, you and I talked. We kept hearing from the drivers saying how slick the racetrack was and how scary it was going to be. And you know, keep in mind, we're on a decent run here. I mean, as these runs go on, where drivers haven't pitted a long time, as those tires wear off, as the gas burns out of the car, even and the car gets a little lighter, this car is not going to get any less loose, right? It's going to get harder to hold on to, not easier. So. I got to say, though, I'm surprised by the looser setup that we're getting the notes about, because, I mean, at a 73-degree track temperature at night at Bristol, typically you don't hear about loose race cars, right? Typically the night race has full of grip, lots of battles, lots of beating and banging. So I don't know. I'm surprised in a way of what we're seeing.
Well, you said it yourself, right? I mean, these cars are some of the loosest that you can get in terms of the top 3 levels of stock car racing in the service. And, I mean, that's a statement that has been ringing true for years now for these race cars. So it might not necessarily be necessarily a weather thing, but just more of a car and a setup thing.
Yeah, I mean, this, as I said, this car, if you compare these, the next gens and the trucks, I think this is the car that requires the most, I guess you want to say driver talent, right? Because this car is so loose. You constantly have to be up on the wheel. You constantly have to be in control of this car. You can't zone out or you'll be out of the race. Here's another battle with Marasco. He's now going to let the 34, well, maybe not the 34 by. This is a battle for the lead, by the way. Marasco, in a way, surprising he's up there. No disrespect, but with all the incidents he's found tonight, you would think that car would be pretty well damaged.
He's doing a good job on keeping that machine up at the front. Of course, Ty Marasco trying to go for redemption, was looking to get his first win of the High Tide Racing League just not last week, but 2 weeks ago at Pocono. He was on track for it too. He hadn't won, but just ran out of field about 100 feet shy and had it picked away by Austin Edstrom despite his best efforts to keep him behind him. So I know from Marasco, he's probably still feeling bitter after that race, so he is on a mission to get that first win tonight.
Yeah, by the way, I want to point out, we were going through some replays of some car spins, everything. These two got around Justin Levine by pure power, by the way. They just raced their way around Justin Levine. So I think Levine spent so much tire and energy getting up to the front that now that car is going to fall off just a little bit here. So he's not out of the picture. And we'll wait and see if anything happens. Some of these cars last pitted somewhere between lap 97 for Michael Thorpe and lap 138 for Ty Marasco. So you'd have to think if, I hate saying it out loud, but if another yellow comes out, everyone would probably want new tires.
You know, you mentioned the looseness of these cars and the surprise. I think the other factor that we got to consider as well, right? Not just the the really cold temps, not just the car setup, but this is a concrete racetrack. I mean, this isn't like black asphalt like most of the stock car tracks. That in of itself makes this track a bit less grippy than most.
Yeah, there's a few tracks that just seem to be less grippy than most. I mean, Dover comes to mind as another good example of that. It's hard to handle, hard to manage, of that same ilk. So here we are coming around this track. We're almost done, right? Here we are, lap 180 of 200 at this beautiful facility. It's a racetrack. At times it's a football stadium. They played baseball here once, if I recall correctly. That comes to mind for some reason. So this track has multi-purpose, but its biggest purpose is to be an amazing racetrack.
They should do wrestling here. It'd be a good place to do it. Literally gladiators in the Coliseum.
Literally, I mean, almost, yeah. You'd have some hard time with the view, I think. But yeah, it'd be great from a spectator point of how many people can fit in the track.
Marketing. Yeah, marketing too.
Yeah. Now, I don't know when you can safely plan an event outside in Tennessee and not be scared of rain or weather, but yeah.
Ty Marasco has taken the lead of the race, by the way, throughout all of that. He is clear of Michael Thorpe Jr. I think Thorpe and Chastain may have burned up a lot of their equipment as well, because all of a sudden, where did Eddie Haggy come from? He's now looking to get himself to the front and almost runs over Chastain in 4.
I almost saw the old bump and run back there from Haggy. He's now come through. You're right. We were talking, and Marasco is going to come through and take the lead here. Thorpe has fallen off a little bit. And man, Haggy's is kind of bowling his way on through. Hearing reports of a wreck. It is a wreck. Oh my goodness. 31 to hit the 41. That's Dalton Kilrow right there, and he is not happy as the 41 because he just made contact with the 31 of Connor Gibson. Let's wait and see what happened.
So that is not what Marasco wanted to see, because he was running away from it, and now he's going to have to really fight for his life here in the closing stages. Oh, Lacey just got loose. Hooked the 31. He overcorrected, and he's going to go hard into the inside wall. But then, unfortunately, nothing he could really do. Spins up onto the racetrack. He's trying to get it off the racetrack and just backed it into the 41 of Kilrow.
Talking about this stuff, guys, sometimes it's better just to hold your brakes. I know the instinct is to get off the track because you think you're safer there, but you gotta hold those brakes and lock it down and just kind of wait and see what happens. Well, here we are. Pit road's a busy place.
Oh boy.
Tyrell Baker came down. I'm trying to see who maybe didn't come down. I see right now Haley Shewer and Benjamin Lacey did not pit.
Yeah.
Tanner Marr did not pit. I'm surprised. I see Tyrell Baker falling down the grid as your first car who pitted. Nope, here goes Benjamin Lacey down pit road. I apologize.
Yeah, he just came to pit road now when he realized how many cars came down. Right now, though, I can guarantee you that the top 6 on the racetrack as they run, Haggy, Shire, Marr, Bell, Lakey, and Sikorsky, they all have not come down to pit road. They last stopped on either 122 or 137. So this is going to, I think we're about to see this race turn into a slugfest.
This is going to get really ugly. A first car who pitted is the #1 machine of Ty Marasco back in P7. Watch this again. Lacey's going to come off the corner here, and that car is going to start to slide loose and make contact with the 31. And again, this right here I get. But when you can see the car moving backwards, and man, Dalton Kilrow, I would love to see that car and where it is right now, because I bet he's going to have a hard time getting back through the field again. He's just now coming off pit road, probably trying to get some damage fixed.
Oh, look at that car. That thing is,
That's not good.
I know there's going to be only about a dozen laps to go. That is, you cannot drive that car. That absolutely killed him because of where it hit.
And here's the problem. You and I talked about this in the beginning of the race. The good news is these laps are fast. The bad news is for someone who needs to get repairs done, these laps are fast, right? So watch this again. This is Gibson. Had no idea. Hits the wall. Bounces back up here. Yeah, you got to hold down that slow crawl. That's
right at the wheel well.
Right now, Dalton Kilroe scored 1 lap down. Still down again on pit road, trying to get some damage fixed, trying to fix it little by little. He has to hope for, I guess, a quick yellow so he can get more damage fixed, but they're going to come around again here. See if he gets another lap down or what happens to him. But, well, he was up to like the top 6, top 5 at one point tonight. Right now, scored P17 is Dalton Kilroe.
Haggy, Shire, Bell, Marr, Sikorsky, Lakey all have not come down to pit road. Thorpe and Marasco back on row 4 are the first pair to have pitted for fresh tires, and they're going to have to really fight their way to the front. This is going to be a race now all about traffic management.
Oh, there it is. There's big wheel spin on the inside for the 4. There's no way the 4 shouldn't win that race to the line if he doesn't wheel spin. So right now, quickly, Haggy takes the lead.
Right now, Thor boxed in by David Lakey. Marasco trying to put it 3 wide. There's the aggression we were seeing. 3 wide. No, Marasco turn up to the outside wall. Lakey shoved in there. The 29 of Hayden Wheeler's finally collected. And it's a big mess, the big one, over in turn 2.
Well, the ironic part is we and I thought this would be a mess, but we thought it'd be a mess because of the older tires. In fact, the guys up front did fine. Haggy, Schiller, Marr, Larry Bell are fine. It's the newer tires. It's the 1 car. Let's watch it again. The 1's going to be on the inside here. He's going to lean up on Lakey in the 84. And yeah, I mean, he just came up on the 84. I mean, there's nothing to say about that. And they try to get off each other and clean it up. But then behind them, that's the new car right there that just we talked praise about all night, sideways. And from here, it's probably not going to be pretty.
I feel really bad for Hayden Wheeler. He hasn't put a foot wrong all night long. He's been doing a fantastic job of keeping that car out of trouble, and eventually he just gets collected by something that had nothing to do with him. He was going to avoid that as well.
Yep, got tagged by Baker just slightly, I think. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot to be said, different mantras about what you do. I almost think Baker maybe didn't lift. Watch this again. Baker's going to barely tag the back of him here. So they're going to go down the bottom to avoid the wreck. I mean, Baker never lifts. I did.
Like, just slightly.
All right. I mean, I get it. You want to get around the wreck, so that's why it's hard to criticize it, because that's your instinct as a driver, is to get around the wreck here. Watch this on board here again. Get a different perspective of the wreck here. This is me checking up here. Man, how do you? I don't under.
I think
that's one way around it, but when you go ahead, I'll let you analyze this one before I say something.
Well, watch the A pillar here. I'm not sure you can even see that Lakey and Lacey were there. Look, can't see. Okay, well, okay, never mind. I can't defend it.
No, I mean, like, there's this thing called a brake pedal. Like, I don't want to be critical tonight. I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, you squeeze yourself up against the wall in that wreck for a reason, and it's because you just didn't. You know, we have spotters, we have yellow lights in the cars, we have yellow lights around the track, we have a yellow flag. You have to observe those guys. Well, as I said, ironically, again, the wreck happened back with the newer tires, people being aggressive. Here is your leaders of Haig, Schuer, Marr, Larry Bell. Also, Ethan Sikorsky's up there. Those are the top 5 who have not pitted yet. Michael Thorpe Jr. is P6. Justin Levine is P7. Matthew Chastain is P8. Those guys have pitted. So this is going to get really interesting really quick with not a lot of laps. Look at that, 6 laps to go here at Bristol.
I think we'll restart with 4 on the docket, so a bit of an extended green-white checker finish, effectively. I mean, this This is one of those races, right? Now we're starting to see that over-aggression coming into play. Everybody knows if you want to make a move, you got to make it now. You have no more time to wait, no more time to set it up. You just got to stuff it in and hope for the best. And I think that is the mindset that most of this field is carrying with themselves now.
Yeah, by the way, quick note, just got a note of that wreck. Ben Lacey, 5 minutes of mandatory repairs is what that car is going to need before he can race again. So he is likely done for the day,
Ouch.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that'll do it for you. Well, we'll see. 4 to go. Pace car pulling down and into pit road. Haggy, Shire, Bell, and Marr for the top 4. Green fly back in the air. Once again, wheel spin this time for both cars. Haggy still wins the drag race in turn 1.
Yeah, that 4 car is not the best at restarts, it appears. So here's a new car. Tanner Marr to the inside. He's going to try and make the pass here. Only 4 laps go. Less than a minute of racing if we stay green, Nolan.
3 laps left to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Mike Thorpe Jr. trying to get back to the top 5. He is up to 4th. Can he try to make a Hail Mary at least for a podium? I think a win might be off the cards. Here comes Levine looking for a top 5. Levine gets turned, slides to the inside. It's overtime, and big hits to the wall for Levine and the 25 of Tyro Baker.
Gosh, if you're Justin Levine, it's like second verse, same as the first, right? All right, I don't understand. Like, we'll wait and see the replay, but that one looked more egregious than the first time he got spun around for certain. Well, if you're Eddie Haig, you're upset right now. You're probably hoping that was going to stay green and just be done. But watch here, that's Levine right there in the Energizer car. Here's the 25 of Baker, watching him through the corner here.
Levine looked like he was loose.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we have to see it better to see if a different angle. I don't know, but I don't think he was loose on his own. I really don't. I could be wrong. I was wrong earlier about Levine. Maybe I am again. Let's see this angle right here. It borderline loose, but also enough time that the 25 could have probably, not ran to the back of him. So I don't know. Let's see it again. This would be a good view right here.
Loose, but that's not like wrecking loose. That is savable loose.
Yep, that's savable loose. But when someone gets in the back end with you and gets that back end up off the ground, it becomes unsavable use very quickly here.
Baker tried to check up, but then he got back into it, trying to get off the corner, and
yep.
Yeah.
So Baker did apologize for the record. Said he knew that he knew he was loose. He tried to check up. This was too late. Levine says, well, the damage isn't race ending, so I guess we'll wait and see how it goes, is what he said. So, all right, well, here's our first overtime, Nolan. It's going to be Haig up there, Schewers up top in P2. And realistically, I mean, I hope Scott Schewer can figure out something about these restarts, because the past 2, he just doesn't have the timing down.
Scott Shire has not had a good run tonight at all. That 4 car has been struggling all night long on the restarts, and especially in the last 20 laps. Now, granted, again, he's on old tires. Now, this could be the chance that Thorpe needs to try to not just go for a podium, but potentially a win as well. His problem, Thorpe started on the outside line, so he'll be able to easily get Marr, but then he's going to be boxed in with the top 2.
What he's got to hope for, he's got to really hope starting behind Shire. He's got to hope that Scott really doesn't miss the restart here, because if he does, he'll check Thorpe up really hard. But I think Thorpe's in a good position here, right there on running the top side, to maybe see if he can eke out this win. Remember, this would be a good points night for him. If you look up and down here, I mean, let's take a look real quick. Brian Dees, 27th out of the race. Dalton Kilrow, P18. He's moved up 5 spots, by the way, by sticking through the race. But I don't see how this, even if Thorpe stays right where he is, pardon me, I don't see how he doesn't take the points lead.
Yeah, Thorpe should be in for a relatively good run. He has not gotten a win yet this season. He has had a lot of seconds, though. 2nd at Daytona, 2nd at the Roval, 2nd at Vegas. So he could...
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, well, and critically, he started behind Haggy because Haggy picked the outside for the restart. That's good for him.
Interesting. Is it, though? I don't know. I mean, it could be. It means there may not be that checkup in front of him. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. I'd probably rather restart behind the driver not doing as well if it were me, but to each their own. Let's wait and see here.
Pace car's off. 2 laps the distance. Eddie Haggy jumps on the lead. Tried to go shy to jump in the restart. We're back to green.
Well, Thorpe, as you said, very quickly is going to get up around here and running the top of the track here. Remember, if we take the white flag, all bets are off.
Coming around 3 and 4, no problems yet. Trouble crashing behind. Larry Bell in the inside wall. Eyes up front though. White flags in the air. Thorpe trying to make that look to get around Eddie Haggy. Looks for the inside. Dives for the inside. Sending it down to the 3 and 4. Turn 4. Drag race. And at the stripe, Thorpe with win number 1 on season number 3.
What a great drag race there. That's a great run by Michael Thorpe. Congrats on your first win.
That was awesome. I mean, that's one of the closest finishes we've had at this racetrack as well for a win.
That's got to be great. It's 0.043 seconds, less than a tenth of a second, less than a hundredth of a second, or no, less than 400ths of a second. Pardon me, is what it's going to be here for Michael Thorpe. You're right. That's an amazing close for Bristol.
Finally, we'll be able to take home the top spot on the podium after a lot of trying so far this season. We will get a look, by the way, on everything that went down on that final lap, because there was a couple of crashes. I know Larry Bell had to spin to the back. I don't think Thorpe's going to be able to do any kind of burnouts. I think that car is smoking. I think Canfield might try to help him put on the illusion of a burnout, at least, as he spins him across the line. He's trying. I don't know, maybe Hunter Carson could try to help. Oh, he's got enough in the tank
on his own. Yeah, I don't know what these other guys are. Yeah, I mean, he'll probably burn it out pretty quickly. This won't be a long burnout. He'll probably kill that motor pretty quickly, right? But he should be fine on his own. Almost hit the wall there. But boy, oh boy, you're right. This is a busy white flag lap. It started right at the white flag. In the back of the camera shot, we saw a big wreck occur. Let's take a look at it here. There's Larry Bell on the bottom. Matthew Chastain's going to bump him a little bit and turn him around. And it's going to be right there for Larry Bell. But that was it. Just the one car around. And then up front, watch this again. Thorpe dedicates the bottom, sends it way to the bottom, tracks it back up, doesn't let Hay get a big run off of the corner. Maybe could have been a little better, but hey, he won, so what do I know? And look how close it's going to be right there. That's how much he won by.
It's a hard hit into the wall, too, after the fact. But, hey, that's after the race, so you may have junked your car, but if you do after the checker flag, doesn't matter at all. We got a party going on down here on the front straightaway. Let's take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. It was a wild one from Bristol Motor Speedway, and it allows for Michael Thorpe Jr. to take his first W of season number 3 by 43 thou. Half a second behind was Scott Shire with Tanamar back in 4th, Ty Marasco in 5th, with Sikorsky in 6th. Then it was Karsten, Osipek, Canfield, and Hayden Wheeler bringing it up in 10th. Good job for Wheeler, by the way. Managed to bounce back through the adversity and still come away with the top 10 in this debut run.
Yeah, really great job indeed. Moving back into P11 is Matthew Chastain with Justin Levine. Debut race back in P12. Larry Bell in P13 after getting spun around. And then that's the last car on the lead lap. From here, it's cars who had 5 or more laps down. Jason Greenwell, John Osborne, Tyrell Baker, Brian Zimmerman, Dalton Kilroe, David Lakey, and Benjamin Lacey to round out your top 20.
And with that, it'll be Connor Gibson who failed to finish this race along with Bob Berry. Kevin Foster went up and over about at the halfway point. Fought his way through, but still finishes this race almost 50 laps down. Then it is Dustin Ping, Corey Sherman, Austin Edstrom out early as well, along with Justin Burnham, Michael Ashmore, and Brian Dees will bring things to a close to close out racing action this afternoon. A good race overall, though. I mean, it got a little messy at points, but I would say overall that was still a pretty solid race from start to finish. One that was definitely not devoid of entertainment. Let's take a rundown and give a chit-chat here to all of the drivers this afternoon. And, of course, we'll try to bring first and foremost into the booth Michael Thorpe Jr. finally taking that first race win of season number 3. And Michael, this is a win tonight that you had to work for, and it came down to a photo finish at the line. How does it feel?
Oh, this is amazing. I got at least most of the esports team for your UNOH watching right now. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. It's very appreciative.
I mean, overall, you have a solid race car underneath. You had a great drive this afternoon, and you take that TWRS UNOH Camaro to the win, but it comes down to overtime, and when you had to work through all that adversity in the race, was it ever any doubt that you might be on the back foot on that final lap?
Around 170 to go, I was hoping for yellow, and I was just praying that we could get one, and it finally came. I'm so happy that it did. And oh my God, I'm just in shock. It's just been a wild day.
Points lead should be all but a certainty for you this afternoon. So with that said, only a handful of races before the playoffs. Are you looking to try to lock yourself in on points prior to that cut line?
Oh no, we're going for a regular season championship and locking ourselves in. I am full in, locked in all the way in. I'm going for it.
I like it. All go, no stop. We'll hopefully see you next week with another one at Michigan.
Thank you, guys.
And that is one Michael Thorpe Jr. coming home with the race win this afternoon. Coming up second was going to be Eddie Hagge this afternoon. No sign, though, on where he's at right now, Derek.
I actually see him up above. Let's see if we can grab Eddie. Hold on 1 second here. See him up above. Just gonna invite Eddie down to the interview room. Give me a second here.
Forceful invitation, I think you mean?
Yeah, forceful. Eddie, welcome into the Green Flag TV race booth. You finished P2 tonight. That close to a race win. What's on your mind right now?
Oh man, it was close. I mean, it was just I think that last caution was the killer, but it was a great race and stayed out of trouble. This was a really tricky car and track combo with the I mean, it was really loose, and we didn't have a fast repair, and I thought it was awesome. But at the end, I think the last decision was tough. I took the top, and I knew Thorpe had tires. I really felt like 2 laps I'd be fine, but I just got tight into 3 in the last turn, and he drove right by me. But he deserves it. I mean, he was great all day. Passed a lot of guys just like that throughout the race.
So, a conversation we had up in the booth here before that last restart was how we kind of realized that maybe Scott was having a hard time with the restarts compared to you. Do you ever put thought into like letting Scott line up in front of Michael and see if he could have held him up?
Well, he was struggling, I think, because it was on the bottom. I don't know why the leaders were starting on the bottom all day. I think they just didn't know that they could choose the top. But when you're the second place car and you're waiting for the guy on the top, it happens here, it happens in Richmond, it happens at a lot of places. So, I mean, either way, he was going to be on the top, so I felt like I was going to get a better launch, on the top than the bottom. But it's a tough decision. I'd have liked to see if I could have tried it on the bottom and seen if it would have been a different outcome.
Well, you're likely going to be in the record books as one of the closest finishes in high tide history at .043. Unfortunately, you're on the downside of that, but we had sorry. But I had a great time watching your race. It was a pleasure watching your race. I hope to see you again. What's the outlook for Michigan as you think about it right now sitting here?
Yeah, we had a blast. I'm a part-timer, so I only race a few times a year in this league, but I want to race more. I'm sure Michigan will be a great track. Definitely tough with the aero, but I'd love to show up and run Michigan if I can.
All right, well, listen, Eddie, great run tonight. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. That's the driver of the number 97 machine, Eddie Haig, finishing P2.
And then, of course, we'll move on down to one Scott Shire. The Fox Racing number 4 Mustang comes home with the number 3 spot this afternoon. Scott, you're about half a second off the mark this afternoon, but you're still able to put together a solid result. And with this, I believe, one of your first podiums of the season.
I think it's my second, Yeah, second.
Well, second podium. You know what? Who's gonna complain, right? I mean, you get to be up here for a second time and talk to us, but I mean, overall, kind of talk us through your race this afternoon, because this one has it's definitely not been an easy run, but you were one of the few cars that was able to kind of stick around where they qualified all day.
Yeah, I was running pretty good there towards the beginning of the race, and then there was a little confusion on pit entry under caution. And I went down the long way, and I got a flag for it, so I had to start it back. then I eventually worked my way up there. So it went pretty well.
As far as things go for you championship-wise, you've been having a very solid run. You're going to be able to extend your spot in the top 5 for the overall championship standings for the time being. You look forward, though, to how things might go over the last few weeks of the regular series season. Are thoughts already coming up about the championship bid, or are you still more thinking about locking out these last few races strong?
Nope, I'm looking forward to the championship. Next week should be good. My home track, Michigan. I won there last year. I'm hoping to back that up this year, so hopefully it goes well.
Hopefully it goes well indeed. It'd be good to take double wins at your home track as well. One of the only drivers, I think, to do it in the High Tide Racing League. Wish you the best of luck when we return to Michigan International Speedway. And for now, congratulations on 3rd.
Yep, thanks. Have a good one.
Scott Shire comes home number 3 this afternoon. And Derek, that brings us to the close of things this afternoon. But overall, again, another solid race from the High Tide Racing League. So seldom do they disappoint. But there's still a long way to go in this championship. We are nowhere near done.
No, nowhere near done. Lots of points to be decided. That cutoff line will become more and more prevalent as the races go on. Next week, we go to Michigan. A big, wide, big, long racetrack with a little bit of a drafting involved. So we'll see how drivers do there. But this was a fun night at Bristol. Lots of, beating and banging, which we'd love to see. Some great green flag racing and an exciting finish to cap it off.
And no doubt it's going to be a thriller when we go racing 1 week from now. The 2-mile behemoth that is the Michigan International Speedway has never failed to put down a good race here on Green Flag TV. So oftentimes that track has put down some of the most thrilling finishes at a non-super speedway racetrack that we've had on this channel, and I am expecting that next week is going to be absolutely no different. Before we get to all of that, coming on up over the course of the week, the Beer League swings out to the Austrian mountainsides where they'll be duking it out for round 7 at the Red Bull Ring. On Saturday and Sunday, it's Twins season openers. The SRA IAL Truck Series has the first of their 5 preseason races from the Sunshine State at Daytona at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the day after at 7:25, it'll be the ASRL Winter Ironman Series with their opener with twin 30-minute features with the street stocks and the mini stocks at Charlotte Motor Speedway's 1.5-mile oval. For us here in the meantime from Bristol, that's all the time we have for one afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Manola Rempel alongside Derek Watson. Thank you all so much for joining us once again. We'll see you next week in Michigan.